processed, and then it'll be available on the repository. Okay. But it's not as simple as that. You have to manage your plugin on the repository by subversion. So there's just more to just submitting a plugin. This is more than that. So your first step is done. You have submitted a plugin to the WordPress repository, but now you have to manage your plugin in the repository itself. And you do this via subversion, and that's a whole different lesson on its own.
Right. So let me get this straight. I submit my plugin. After review, it gets
it gets accepted.
It gets accepted, and it gets put into a repository, which
it gets put into the WordPress has a repository for all its plugins.
Yep.
It's a shared subversion repository actually for all the plugins, so you can see all the code. And your plugin code will not exist there yet. You will have to go. You'll be given subversion rights, and you'll have to go and upload your plugin into there, move the code into there.
So this way, whenever I have a new version of my plugin, I just update it by.
You just update it on the subversion, and the WordPress build system, it will just wrap it up for you and put it available for download. Yes, it's actually. It takes a bit of understanding to figure out how it works, but it's actually quite simple once you do understand. It makes things a lot easier for people, for plugin developers especially. And
do you have to resubmit the plugin every time you make
no.
something?
Once you have submitted the plugin, that's it. You can change your description later on, which I haven't tried but you don't have to resubmit. All you need is that first approval, and after that you'll be given subversion rights, and you'll have to submit your plugin through there.
So it's not like the iTunes and install process.
No, only one approval. That's all. With that, you do have to create a WordPress account though, a WordPress.com account. That's only how you can fill in the details. Well, what I would recommend though is to fill out the readme.txt. There are a lot of optional fields. Let me just go here. Let me just give me a second here. Well, why don't I just pull up readme? Okay, I'm going to just go full code at you. Short links. Okay, where's my window? Okay, there you go. Okay, so here's a README. Here's one README for one of my plugins. So there are a lot of fields. If you look at it, it looks exactly like the plugin, the headers. At the top, you'll have the plugin name, the contributors. It's like the plugin headers. You'll have these are actual README headers here. Description. I recommend you fill in all the details because why? Because when you do a plugin, when you create a plugin, if you fill in more details, there will be more chances of people adopting your plugin, especially the screenshot. I find the screenshot very important for me to decide what plugin to use. Not just a screenshot of how the plugin works, but a screenshot of the admin features. Because I want to know what are the admin abilities of the plugin before downloading it, installing it, or figuring it out. So this is the readme.txt. You can look online for how the details work, but there's let me make it a bit bigger. There's details for a description, there's a detail for how it works, how to install, and a list of screenshots. I recommend always include screenshots. And I think that sells the plugin, for at least me, that always sells the plugin the most. You can write whatever crap you want, but the screenshot is the deciding factor.
Agree.
Questions? In the back. I would recommend actually upgrading to 3.0. Plugins breaking, I haven't had any experience with my own because I create small plugins. But they're 3.0.
WordPress is breaking backward.
Yeah, but I'm aware certain things break. I'm just not sure which parts break though. I would recommend upgrading, but the best recommendation is to keep your, well, since your plugin is already theoretically on the Subversion repository, the WordPress plugin directory, you should be safe if you upgrade to 3.0. Notice a bug, at least you can revert back. I would experiment, but I've been quite safe with upgrading to 3.0. In fact, myself, I am developing on 3.0 my plugins right now. I prefer it for primarily what's been announced earlier today: the custom host types, custom taxonomies, the WordPress menu navigation. Those are the three features we're solving for 3.0. And for most plugins, what it requires me is, it doesn't require me to use more tables. I don't like creating extra tables because this just populates and creates a lot of polluted data. I don't want to do that. Yeah. Questions? Yes, the man in green.
You have submitted you have some plugins on the repository. So far, have you gotten any donation for it?
Sorry?
So far, have you gotten any donations?
No, I haven't gotten any donations. I try. I try. It's worth a
Have you
try.
donated?
Huh?
Have you donated?
No, I have not donated. That's probably the first step. Maybe karma will get me back. Danny.
Can the plugins be put into functions?
Yes, actually can. You just you can actually put it into your functions.php and it'll be called out the same way. What I would recommend you do though is in your functions.php, I would recommend what I normally do is I create another folder called functions. Let me pull out some code. Actually. Okay, so this is one project I'm working on right now. It's called Kachara. So what I actually have is I have another folder called functions. Okay?
This is the plugins folder or the themes folder?
This is a themes folder. This is a themes called Kachara. Inside you'll notice some of the theme files. Okay? So what I do in my themes actually is a bit different. Here are your theme details. Here are my hooks. And that's it actually. Because what I do is I refactor my code. I put all my hooks into another file in the folder I call functions. This allows me to manage it a lot easier. Modularize it. I would recommend you copy, if you want your plugins, I recommend you just copy the plugin folder into another folder called functions.php or plugins.php. And in your functions.php, just link to it directly. Do require to that plugin code, because then it'll load it up. But some things may break. For example, my plugin, the style plugin I created, there was a constant there to the plugin path, to the style path. So some things may break. Some things may require you to change it. But yes, always modularize your code. It makes things a lot easier to manage. So on the note of modularizing your code, let's have a look at my files. I have my functions.php, which is in the background, and it loads these three different files. My menu walker for the WordPress 3.0 system, my own menu walker. I have hooks. So here's where all my hooks are actually stored. It's in a class called Kachara. Function init. Scroll down, admin init. After setup theme. You'll notice that the functions, they speak for themselves. You don't need to figure out what are these functions, which hooks do they belong to? WP and Q scripts. So I just name them after the hook's name. It makes it a lot easier to navigate. And the next thing I do is I store my templating code. So this is code which would be used by your templates, which might not be stored inside the class. And I'll just put in something else. So here's a function called pagination. It's not inside the class, but it's a templating code. Is there any further questions?
Have you ever tried writing plugins in a MVC format?
Sorry?
Have you tried writing plugins in an MVC format?
No, I haven't. But why would you want to do that though?
Cleaner.
Okay. It depends on what do you want to do exactly. For example, WordPress is another plugin system. It has a similar MVC model, but it just adds hooks into everywhere. And inside, okay, I'll pull out the WordPress code. It's like 30 plus. So, but